This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Every time I use Booking.com to find a place to stay in the U.S., I know they'll have exactly what I'm looking for. They have a huge variety of options from hotels to vacation rentals, and I'm always able to find something that fits my specific needs. I found that Booking.com has something for everyone. No matter who you are, Booking.com helps you find the stay that's ridiculously right for you. Find exactly what you're booking for on Booking.com, Booking.yeah.
Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data, and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Woo woo. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I want to remind you guys I'm coming to the East Coast February 14th in New York City at the Palladium, Times Square. Saturday, February 15th, I'll be at the Lincoln Center in D.C. And Sunday, February 17th, I will be in Red Bank, New Jersey. And then March 1st, I will be in Palm Springs. Everything is at heathermcdonald.net. Get those tickets now. Otherwise, you're going to end up crying about it, and there's nothing I can do for you. But you won't be crying now because we have a real smart girl with us. Kate Casey of...
I'm back.
The amazing Kate Casey has a great podcast, Reality Life with Kate Casey. She's been my friend for over 10 years, maybe more like 12. And so, of course, we want to talk. Let's talk everything about it. Congrats on your win.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You are a Philly girl.
Yes, I am.
And your team won.
We won. Yeah.
Now... yesterday when I was walking the dog, which was Sunday, I was like, was it Philly? Like, what crazy East Coast team was there? This story that haunts me about once or twice a quarter, and that is a fan getting so excited that their team won that he went and ate the shit from the police horses. And so during the game the party I was at, which everybody was a Philly fan.
Oh, good.
And I just wore my items that I had from when I was Taylor Swift 2 Halloweens ago. So, or when
what's this?
That's Halloween and a half ago, or whatever. And so I was like, oh, there'll be people rooting for the Chiefs, whatever. I have a shirt, go Taylor's boyfriend. And I got there and I was like, oh my God, I hope. But then they thought it was okay because since I was like mocking him, they were like, okay. I go, yeah, I'm mocking him. It's fine. Like, I'm not really for the Chiefs. And, but I pulled that up and I started to show the Philly people. And I go, do you remember this story? And nobody did.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but they were like
It
California
was 2018.
people. Oh, yeah. Well, you have to know that 2018, we had gone decades without winning. So
that requires some people to eat.
Tears, like we were out of our minds. We couldn't believe it. So that doesn't shock me at all.
I haven't heard any more accounts of horse poo eating this time, but a lot of crazy riot type of stuff.
You know how you have your own algorithm? Like everything in my algorithm is like Eagles, Eagles, Eagles. So I live in my own bubble where I think about them all the time. But it wasn't until I went to Canada like 3 weeks ago, my son was wearing an Eagle sweatshirt. And there were so many people that were coming up to him and saying things. And that was the first time I thought.
Like pro Eagles or not?
For the Eagles.
Oh, cool.
Like,
then you
and
realized
I just
it was
thought,
like a cool thing.
Oh my God, I think everyone's for us.
Yeah.
Like they're really for us. And then I really started to feel it, certainly in the last couple of days. But
well, they killed it.
Killed it.
Taylor was not... did she not come out in the halftime show? I never thought that.
Well, did you see the moment where she got booed?
She got booed and she seemed surprised, which I think they were just like, I don't think they were booing her. It was just more like they're stupid and they're booing that she's obviously a Chiefs fan and her boyfriend.
That's correct.
What do you think about Travis showing up in his like 1970s like fancy outfit? Like the Saturday Night Live suit.
My friend Chris said he looked like Ron Burgundy. I felt like Ron Burgundy if he was a pimp.
Yeah.
A little bit like that. When he left the game, and he went into the suite with her.
Yes.
And the way he looked like just a complete zombie, like surprised, it reminded me of a Real Housewife, how they think they killed it. And then the season starts to air. And then they're like, wait a minute, the audience is totally against me. I felt like that was like the kind of the outlook. Like they couldn't believe they lost.
They couldn't believe that they lost.
Couldn't believe it.
And,
and everybody was for the
Eagles. They lost by so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about, Giselle had her baby.
Yeah, a boy, right?
A boy named River. So,
of course, that's on that track.
She moved on. And then Kendrick Lamar did his routine, and his routine. He did his performance. And I know, they're not like us. Like, I know those songs. I was thoroughly entertained. But not till I woke up at 1 a.m. did I realize, actually, this wasn't patriotic. This was not like, I was like, oh, look how nice it is. Like, because I'm just seeing like red, white, and blue and Uncle Sam, Samuel Jackson. So I'm like, oh, it's cool that everyone's becoming like way more, go America. And then when I read all the stuff, I'm like, oh, it was like really kind of, the whole point is that it was like, it was very negative towards.
Well, I mean, patriotism to me is celebrating American values, which is free speech.
Yeah.
And he did win a Pulitzer Prize in 2018.
Yes. And it was really cool to go and look at how, because then I was like on TikTok and I was seeing how everyone went through all the symbolism and everything that it meant and just what a lyrical genius he is and all of that, which I always think is really cool with hip hop. Like there was a class that you could take at my son's high school that was like hip hop
lyricism,
and history and just sort of the same way we would dissect like Shakespearean plays, and where the language felt so different from today, but you could like figure, they're actually talking about this, whatever. So that was really cool. But then there was a lot of talk of like the songs were not popular enough for the general public because we normally get like, I mean, if you're comparing it to like Dr. Dre, which had that hip side, but then also everybody knew it from like 65 to 10. Everyone knew those songs.
Well,
I
presume part of that is that it's really difficult to get people to want to perform, which sounds crazy because it's the highest honor in music, really, to be asked to do the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. But you don't get paid well. Like the Weeknd,
like $600 or something. Yeah,
it was like $1,000 a day scale union. Yeah. But the Weeknd actually used a lot of his own money for the performance. So you have that, and also the pressure. I mean, like for example, Saturday Night Live. If you and I were asked to be hosts, we would be like, "Duh, yeah." But a lot of performers freak out and they're like, I don't want to do live TV. So I think the pressure that comes with performing, that a lot of people don't want to do it. Yeah. And you don't want to be like repeat, So.
Well, I thought it was great.
I thought the dancing at the time I didn't realize
that the thing was the PlayStation. Yeah. I missed all that because I'm like at a party and people are talking.
Yeah, that'd be hard.
But like I enjoyed it. I thought I did great. I thought it was cool, but I didn't really understand what was going on until like I read about it after.
That's fun though because I found out only a lot of the nuances between himself and Drake. And like the Serena Williams part. My friend
so Serena
Chris explained this to me.
Serena used to date Drake.
But he went crazy because she broke it off and he was obsessed with her and he would diss her and her her husband.
In his music? Drake would?
Like anywhere. He's like one of those people who is all emotion and really gets wound up when a girl like breaks it off. And like he has a whole history with Rihanna, for example. And like Rihanna and Serena Williams are like, I have my own thing.
And then he has a whole history with the girl, Millie Brown.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah. They were just really good friends. She was 13 and he was
talking
30,
about being in the biz together.
Yeah, they were just talking on the phone a lot. Yeah.
My friend Chris told me that apparently he has a room in his house with Chanel bags for the wife that he doesn't have yet. What do you think about that? Isn't that weird? You know how I always say that it's like the small things that say so much about somebody. Like,
yeah, but also that's also like a move every girl you date. Like I remember I dated this really rich guy when I was a senior at USC, and he went on to marry a girl who has a fabulous life. But whatever, he was very rich, and he was like 40. But I went on a date with him. I met him at Trader Vic's one night, and on the first date, like I drove to the house. It was in the Palisades. Probably not there anymore.
Yeah.
And like each door was like, several £1,000s. I'd never experienced that. There was a couple that worked there together, like a man and woman, like butler and whatever.
Like a manager, like a house manager.
I loved it. But anyway, we came into the house And then we went to the woman's closet where there was like the first section and everything. And he was like, do you think you could fill this one day?
Oh.
So I think it's like a move. Like on the first date with my husband, Peter, he's like talking about his work and he used to travel a lot for work. And he goes, I like to fly first class. Do you like to fly
I remember you
first
telling
class?
me that.
And I was like, I've never been in first class.
He's like, well, buckle up, girl.
And actually, we did go in first class for a
honeymoon, right?
But I had never. But it was one of those like stupid drop those. Like someone's gonna be like, actually, no, I enjoy like a middle seat. Like no. So I think he's probably doing that because he can, and he knows that it just if the girls weren't gonna sleep with him before going over, like they would. And then, but the whole A minor thing and the necklace,
like savage,
and that because he took out the word pedophile because. I guess Drake was going to sue him or is suing him because he has that word about Drake in one of his songs.
Yeah.
But then he still kept enough about what he thinks. And then other people are like, oh my God, let it go. Move on. Keep Drake's name out of your mouth. But most people are like loving all of it. I mean, if you were a part of it, like the reaction of people that had been following their, but I still was like, why do they hate each other? So I looked and I looked and I looked.
Yeah.
And I guess at one time, Drake said that Kendrick Lamar himself and somebody else are the top 3 rappers. And then Kendrick Lamar was like, no, I am. I'm the top. And that was how the fight started. I don't know. I'm probably getting it completely wrong. But
I think it's like what we obsess about with reality shows. It's like all the little nuances. But I think at the core of it, it probably gets under Drake's skin that Kendrick is kind of what he wishes he could be. The lyricist and has the personal story that makes sense to be the rapper.
Right. He's from Compton.
Yes, the storyteller.
Drake, who's from Canada
Forest
and was
Hills
a child
Toronto
star.
And like was super wealthy. So
And he was on the little kid
it's
show.
His Degrassi.
Yeah.
I think he has an imposter syndrome.
Drake.
Yeah.
Well, I met Drake at a Kardashian Christmas party, and he was a total delight.
Was it?
And took a photo with my Drake and Brandon.
Oh,
and,
why was that not your holiday card?
I have given it to the boys, so they have it to use when they need cred, but they're very little in the photo. But yeah, I mean, so I don't know, but I was like, found it interesting. And then just like anything else, they know that it's exciting, but then all like the, game over, turn off the TV, get ready for the revolution, all that kind of stuff is cool. But I think it went over most people's heads, including my own.
And it's kind of fun though, in the aftermath of it. All
was
fun. The Easter, I think we live in an Easter egg time.
Yes.
Taylor Swift does that all the time too. And I think it's fun the day after putting all the puzzle pieces together.
Right. Yeah. So that was cool. This girl, Jordan Hudson, the 24-year-old dating 72-year-old Bill Belichick, supposedly she has an engagement ring on.
Okay.
She was in the Dunkin' Donuts commercial with Ben Affleck standing next to her boyfriend.
Yeah.
So she is 100% getting everything she needs to out of this.
Why has someone not pitched a reality show about these two?
Well, she will probably say yes, and he'll probably go along with it.
He'll go along with it.
And I think he's like, I don't care. Like, she is into me. It's fun. I've got, 15 years left on this earth. This is who I want to hang with. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, whether she was 24 or 40, who the fuck cares? He's not dating a 70-year-old. That's that.
Yeah.
Even if he was dating a 50-year-old, people wouldn't make a big deal about it. But still, that's 22 years difference. If he was dating a 50-year-old woman, that is still a huge age difference. So once you get to like 40, 50 years, who cares? Like,
I also think now that he's coaching at UNC and he's around all these college kids and he's recruiting lacrosse players, like he's got the young girlfriend, this may add a couple of years onto his life.
Yeah.
Right?
Why not? Yeah, but then you're her friend and you're like, can Bill like bring over his players and not his contemporaries? Because I don't want to hang with those grossies. Okay, then the Kanye commercial. Did you see the Kanye commercial?
I don't think I did. Tell me.
So he, all of a sudden, in the middle of the Super Bowl, Kanye pops up and he says, it's an iPhone video of himself. And he goes, I spent all my money to buy this commercial and to show you my new teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever they just look like weird. He looks like a New Jersey house husband, a Real Housewives of New Jersey, but worse. Yeah. Anyway, who knows what they were. And then it just goes Yeezy.com.
That's all he said?
Yes. But then what I found out this morning is when the people that clicked on it, there's only one item for sale.
Oh, no. What is it?
The Nazi
what?
symbol on a white T-shirt.
Why are we giving this guy any ounce of attention?
Well,
this
so
is
then
the
some
last
people are like, why are not people
right
more outraged and not talking about it? And then I'm like, well, I see why, because we don't want to give him any attention. But then I feel like we have to say something because it's so gross and gotten so out of hand. And he was ranting all weekend with the most horrific stuff that he was saying about some of the things he was saying. He was like asking Trump to free Diddy, saying his friends are not sticking up for him. He was then Diddy's attorneys came out and blasted him. Then he was talking about Bianca. He did end up finally they kicked him off of X. Finally, Elon or somebody was like,
we're done.
Or enough people wrote. I think David Schwimmer was writing stuff.
I think I saw that.
And that finally, or he voluntarily left. He was gone as of Monday morning. One of the other things he said about his wife. Here's a tweet. I have dominion over my wife. Well, I don't even know what that means. Dominating? Is that a version of dominating?
I think he's trying to say, I have control over my wife.
This ain't no woke as feminist shit. She's a billionaire. Why would she listen to any of you dumb ass broke, I guess, bitches? People say the red carpet look was her decision. Yes, I don't make her do nothing. She doesn't want to, but she definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without my approval, you stupid ass woke pawns. I have no respect or empathy for anyone living because no one living can F with me, but I do love some people and I give them a favor.
By the way, shame on all those media outlets that posted those pictures. She's clearly...
I posted it.
She's clearly a woman who's being controlled. That's public humiliation.
I did. Is that bad?
Yes, that's public humiliation of a woman.
Okay, well then I'm sorry. But I mean, I don't know. When it happened the night of the Grammys, and I even talked about it with Chris. I go, I'm surprised like they're letting me put this on Instagram.
I know. They're all complicit.
But I did it. So are you mad at me?
Yes.
Okay.
Not mad, but I just don't. I think all the media outlets should stop posting pictures of it.
Remove it.
I feel badly for her.
Wait, hold on. Let me phone. I really am. Hold on. You know what? She's got to leave now, though. Now
she needs to leave.
Now if you don't leave, then you're just as bad as him.
I wouldn't say that. I think it's really hard when a woman's being controlled.
So now here's my next thing. Okay. I've talked about this like Kim, my God. I don't think there is a worse person to co-parent with in the world right now that's a celebrity besides Kanye. And I know she's in a hard position because her kids, I'm sure, want to see their dad. And I'm sure North is, she's now a momager to North, and North definitely has her own mind at 13. And, but if I was Kim, this would be it. I would be doing ex parte in court, changing whatever custody arrangement we have.
I agree with you.
And I'd be like,
I'd
be like, my kids cannot be around him.
No.
Look at what he's saying. And even if he doesn't really feel this way about Jewish people, he's at the verge of like, he could just kill them all. Nannies or not, security guards or not. Like, I'm not letting my kids be around this person that is that. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, I'm sorry, North, if you're mad at me for it. Like, your dad is insane. And if you can't explain to your kid why you can't be around someone that is saying this stuff, and I don't care, someone go, well, it's for PR, it's publicity. He's selling a shirt.
I know. It's despicable.
So it's like, it's disgusting, and not enough people are enraged about it. And it's
that's
shocking.
The problem with people like that, because they say it so often, people sort of become
And then again, I get it. We don't want to give him attention. I understand that aspect of it too. But, and maybe if you're friends with the Kardashians, they're like, please don't talk about it. It's not like Khloe's going to talk about this on her podcast. I mean, I get it. But like I am, because this is just disgusting. And as a mom, I'd be like, oh, my kids are not going to be around you. Like I said, with security guards or not, you're not going to see him until he gets evaluated. And if he's like, I have been evaluated and this is the way I feel. Well, people do feel that way. And it doesn't mean they're crazy. There are hateful, awful people. And he might just be a hateful, awful person.
Well, also you see him psychologically destroying a woman in front of us, let alone what he must do to his own kids in privacy. This is what he does publicly to a woman. Think about what he would do behind closed doors.
Yeah. So that was awful. This was kind of interesting just for fun. She had these pants on that someone caught, which are these shorts that got a little hole in the front for a strap on. And she was wearing them out.
Because he likes to humiliate her.
Or he likes that.
Probably, but why would
he likes that? I mean, Amber Rose said that he liked it in a tweet a long time ago.
She did?
Yeah, that's fine. I guess a lot of guys like that with girls to be wearing strap-ons.
Well, we know he has a history of telling the women that he's with what to wear. He likes to control even all aspects of their life, including what they can wear in public.
Right. Even with the Julia Fox, when she talked about that 1 month with him. Kris Jenner is selling her $13.5 million home. This is the black and white floored home that then she left and Rob has been living in for like the last 8 years.
Oh, he has been?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so she's selling that. And so I watched the Hulu latest episode of The Kardashians. This is the premiere episode. I have not really watched it since they've been on Hulu.
Oh, really?
And I just was like, I was looking around and it popped up on Hulu. I'm like, I'm going to watch it. And in the episode, Khloe goes over to Malika's house, her friend, and they arrange for Lamar, her ex-husband, to come over because she has some of his old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they paid him to make this appearance. And obviously he needs the money to do it. So she gets over there. You said you watched it too. And she says, I haven't seen him in 9 years. So they were divorced already when he went to the brothel in Vegas and basically died and they brought him back to life. He was on so many drugs and had a heart or stroke, whatever. They, the family gathered around. They took care of him in the hospital. They found another house in Calabasas. They got custom furniture made because he's so tall, took care of him and everything. And she kept coming over. And then she says in the show, and then one day I came over and he was doing stuff he shouldn't be doing. I assume she means drugs.
Yeah.
So that's when she kicked him out. Hasn't seen him in 9 years. I was under the impression that he was owning rehabs and stuff. Or maybe he was the face of rehabs recently.
I feel like that, yeah.
I don't know when this was filmed, but it felt like that's maybe not what he's doing right now.
So was that in an attempt to do some sort of brand crossover,
No, they don't talk about the rehab or anything.
Oh.
It seemed like he was kind of fucked up, to be honest. So he comes over, he's profusely sweating, and she's like, "What? Are you going to talk this low? We're filming a show here." And I'm like, I remember when they had the Khloe and Lamar show, and it had to be all in subtitles because he was a mumbler and you couldn't understand him. And so I'm watching it with Peter, and we went to the wedding all those years ago after they'd only dated for 30 days and got married at the Azof's house, Irving Azof's house.
Was everybody around you like, wait, what's going on? What's happening here?
Yeah, it seemed crazy, but it felt like
she was so in love with them.
Here's the thing. It's all part of the mom. One thing about Kris, and I remember thinking this, when I remember the first time I met her, and I was like, wait a minute, Kim got married to this guy, Damon, who had 4 kids when she was 18, secretly in Las Vegas. You weren't going insane? And she was like, well, no, I was going to be there for I guess she didn't say this, but I guess she figured I'm going to be there when they break up. So if I condemn her now, and it's already done.
It's hard.
So I get that. It was already done. And then she did break away. But in this particular one, I feel like, from what I remember, Khloe really hadn't had a real boyfriend, and he was so into her.
Yeah,
and it was like the height of the Lakers. They had the show. I truly believe they were in love. And there's couples that get married that quickly and everything. But here's what I'm going to say in watching this interaction: regardless if he had ever taken a drug or cheated on her, and they were married for now 15 years and had 2 teenage kids. They'd be divorced today.
For sure.
Because she was 24 and he was this basketball player and it was sexy and it was fun. But he's still
stuck in that time.
He's still stuck in that time. He shows up wearing a shirt with himself on it and she's embarrassed. She's like, oh, you're wearing yourself on a shirt. And then she's like, Can you speak up? And she's like annoyed and not attracted at all. Like purposely wore like jeans because he was always like rubbing her legs and stuff. Like I remember. And so she was like, I don't even want to like show my legs or have him think that I'm like at all.
Attracted
and yeah, like
him,
if they were together like any other couple, she would have completely outgrown him. She, you know, is a businesswoman. She's really smart. She's very likable, you know, and, you know, huge with the good American gene company, everything else she's done. So
and
I
also
was like,
mom.
Also a mom
She's
and a
really thinking about her own daughter, like why? What am I doing here with this
all the
person
stuff
who
that
doesn't represent who I am now?
I mean, listen, you know, not that she needed him to have done drugs or almost died, but sometimes you got to be grateful for someone treating you so badly that you could walk away. Because if he didn't do all those awful things, if he had, like I said, never cheated. You know, and they were lamb and Khloe, and she's got that loyalty. She probably would be in a marriage with a guy that she's totally does not respect, is annoyed by, and thinks is dumb.
I think that's why everyone likes her so much, is that they just want her to win so much.
Yeah, but I'm like, she should seriously be grateful that he showed himself so quickly on before she had his kid. And everything else, because then she probably would have given him a million extra chances because he's the dad and da-da-da, or she would have been doing all that stuff for his family.
You know, it would be interesting to hear her give advice to like Paige DeSorbo.
Yes.
Because people are so in arms about Paige and Craig breaking up and the reason they must have, but I've always
here we got Paige, and let's jump to that. What Paige, of course, we've talked about, she's from Summer House. Yeah. He's from Southern Charm. We talked about their breakup. He went on Watch What Happens Live recently, and I thought it was really great because he shared, she did break up with me, and then I did do an interview a couple days after she broke up with me, but we weren't public, and I didn't know if we possibly could get back together, so I played along that we weren't broken up. But that seemed to irritate her, so he was responding to a podcast that she did where she's like, I didn't cheat, and you knew we were broken up, and you still acted like we didn't. So now he has to respond to that. But the thing that he said on Watch What Happens Live, which was really good, and he's like, am I supposed to defend what people are saying, like, on Reddit?
Yeah.
I'm not. Like, I was very, you know, he was very classy when they broke up. He's been classy this whole time. He doesn't know if there was something else going on. She's gone up and down and said it hasn't been. There's somebody named Joe people think she's seeing or saw. Who cares? They're broken up. They had a nice 3-year relationship that didn't last forever. They're both likable.
Well, I think you and I kind of agree on this, that sometimes there's a person that's great to date but not to marry. Right. And it's easy to get married. It's hard to get divorced. So I feel like Khloe would say,
yes, Khloe would
count this as a blessing that you guys were able to figure out this now and save each other the headache, because I think he ultimately wants to get married and have kids. And if she didn't feel like it was the right time and place or whatever, it's a blessing in the end. Because she leads them to the person they're supposed to be with.
And she probably was like, why am I resisting this? Yeah. There's a reason why, you know, it's like when someone, you know, like when you're dating a bunch of people. I remember when I asked my sister when she was dating her husband and then they got, you know, engaged or whatever. I'm like, well, how do you know he's the one? Like we both had dated so many people. And she's like, because it's easy. Like I didn't have to think about one thing. I didn't have to think about if he was into me. I didn't have to think if I was into him. I didn't have to think, will he make a good husband? Are we going to have a night? Like I just didn't have it. There was no, you know, and that's where I think it was like, and then also you have, you know, it's hard when you're a public figure, a public couple that's like loved like them.
Yeah.
So you have all the people cheering them on and all the people like can't wait for it. And I think she really did have fun and liked him and everything. But you
can't stay with somebody because you don't want to disappoint other people.
Right.
You can't. You got to live for your... I think they should make her the Bachelorette, because they put the Bachelorette on hold for another year. And I think it's because Jen Tran's season was so bad. I
didn't even hear about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they usually go off the success of the last season to propel the new one. They should make Paige the new Bachelorette, because then you could have Hannah Berner and all of her friends kind of come and participate. It would help that show grow. But they should give Craig a spinoff on Bravo dating show. And I think the women would come out of the woodwork to want to date him.
The only thing about having Paige on is that I'm never going to believe that she's into any guy that would go on The Bachelor.
But that would be so funny. We're not thinking she's going to marry somebody.
Right.
I'm just saying entertaining TV, like her quips.
It should just be a
so
show.
Funny.
Who will Paige go on a 1-week vacation with? Because that's going to, then it's like, okay. Because we all know she's never going to marry some guy that was at that level of thirst to go on The Bachelor and leave whatever. And if he did it, he didn't have a good enough job. He's not a power enough, full enough person with his own.
The good people at The Bachelor don't think those relationships will last either. They just want to make an entertaining TV show. So I think that would be entertaining.
But I'm just thinking for her own brand, she doesn't want to be inauthentic to her people.
Oh,
so
actually,
it has to be something just like,
you're also
okay,
right.
I'm picking a guy that
a 2-year commitment too. They might try to say, well, you can't film anything else. And she's got too much power.
A lot going on. And it's like, I don't think she wants to, and also she's, I guess she's freezing her eggs or whatever, but still that doesn't give you all the time in the world. You still but still it does buy you some time. So if you freeze your eggs,
she should marry the person that she feels right and take out all the noise.
She should
just
have
do
some
what she
fun
wants. Yeah.
For like another year and a half.
Yeah.
But whatever. So that was kind of interesting.
You know who the horniest people are?
Who?
Those that are newly single, sometimes divorced women, but like newly single and women that are ovulating. Horniest.
Mm. Yeah.
I know. I've been there 5 times.
This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Every time I use Booking.com to find a place to stay in the U.S., I know they'll have exactly what I'm looking for. They have a huge variety of options from hotels to vacation rentals, and I'm always able to find something that fits my specific needs. I found that Booking.com has something for everyone. So let me tell you, maybe you're traveling with your teens and you're like, what are we going to do? One eats so much. Guess what? Let's find the place that has the all-inclusive breakfast every morning. That helps. The other one wants to do some fun hiking. You want to find a place that has hiking trails galore. We need the rooms that adjoin. Well, Booking.com has all of those places, and you're going to love it, and it's going to fit your family perfectly. No matter who you are, Booking.com helps you find the stay that's ridiculously right for you. Find exactly what you're booking for on Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Guys, it's time you start giving yourself the care you deserve. And let me tell you about iRestore. This is such an amazing product. The iRestore Elite, it's not just another gadget. It's an FDA-cleared laser cap. It's clinically proven hair regrowth solution designed to help you fight thinning hair and hair loss. It has 282 lasers and LEDs working to deliver light therapy right to your scalp. It is such a rejuvenating spa-like treatment. You guys will love it. You'll love it for your follicles, and it's going to give you a really fresh start. And my girlfriend has been using it, and she absolutely loves it. I've totally noticed a difference. She had like a very growing cowlick kind of a thing in the back that is already, I'm seeing huge difference. She loves it. Just puts it on her head, watches TV, listens to Juicy Scoop, whatever. So it's the perfect time just to cozy up indoors and put this on your head and just go off and treat yourself. Give yourself the gift of hair confidence this February. For a limited time only, our Juicy Scoopers get $625 off their iRestore Elite when you use code JuicyScoop at iRestoreLaser.com. That's $625 off your iRestore Elite at iRestoreLaser.com with promo code JuicyScoop. Please support our show and tell them I sent you. Hair loss is frustrating and you don't have to fight it alone thanks to iRestore. Okay, so today, as we're recording this, this is not out, but apparently Justin Baldoni did a podcast where there's a clip and he gets very emotional. It's called like The Two Gents or something. I've never heard of it.
Gents Talk.
I thought it was like
breaking news.
Yeah, I thought he agreed to give his one and only interview to probably this guy. Either he gave Justin a kidney we don't know about,
right?
Or
right,
or at one time they were lovers. I don't know, because I'm like, who is? You're not going to go to like Joe Rogan. You're not going to go to like something where everyone's going to hear your side in like a half a second. We're going to have to search it out. But you told me it's your understanding that this was recorded a while ago.
November of last year.
So he alludes to the lawsuit.
Before the lawsuit.
But after the trauma.
Before the lawsuit and the complaint, but alludes
after
to
bad PR and all that.
Anxiety, a very difficult year. So at this point, everyone's looking for any social media clip. And I don't know why that show didn't put the interview out in November of 2024? That to me is a big question.
Maybe they were just like, yeah, like I know I would have been like the minute, but maybe that's a lesson to people. Like maybe wait till it even gets bigger to plop it. You know,
I mean, think about that. That was recorded
what if the part that he's crying about is just like, you know, his dog died.
Right.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like had anything to do with like, you know, I was treated so badly on this last project I did or whatever. So AI found this. This is what they're saying. This is from truthorlie.ai
I saw
or whatever. So this is a video of Blake doing another interview. There's so many coming up. And she says that the rooftop scene was written 90% by Ryan Reynolds. And I totally believe that with the crypto bro line and the laughing and all this other stuff, because she felt that her character wouldn't have fallen for this gorgeous neurosurgeon that looks perfect. While you're hanging out,
or something like she would have, that her character Lily Bloom would have noticed red flags earlier,
or would have busted his balls. No, anyway. So she says that it was him that wrote. So I'm like, okay, so now, you know, now we know like Taylor has all these reports had come out before the Super Bowl that she didn't invite Blake and Ryan to the Super Bowl. But also that she's like annoyed and why are you dragging me into this weird thing? I'd
be pissed too.
Yeah, I think she just thought it was like, you know, she had this fun friend. It's fun to have a famous friend. They probably had some chuckles and laughs. For her, it was cool to be around. Like, she probably loved Deadpool as well, thought he was funny, came over and was like, oh my God, how cool that I'm seeing this script before. Yeah. Like, but she's basically saying, yeah, it's Ryan. And we know how Ryan writes stuff and everything. We know that then at the same time the movie was even done, he decided to add this whole Nice Pool character, which was making fun of Justin. So it's just
imagine?
She's just telling. There's so many clips of her telling on herself that it's like unbelievable.
Can you imagine? He gets rights to the movie in 2019. You work all of those years. This is your project. You're like, this is my launch pad to something, and then to have someone rewrite, redo things. It's just like slipping through your fingers. Like you thought it's like quicksand, right? Like you thought you had something, and then it's just disappearing in front of you.
Yeah. So. You know, listen, if the trial doesn't go on, you know.
I'm starting to think the trial will happen. I know there's a 92% chance of settlement, but at this point where so many people are invested in the story, you have to have both sides to agree to settlement. And at this point, I don't know.
It's weird that we don't have all the stories in the clips of people being like, I worked with Justin and he's a nightmare.
I still feel like...
So where are those?
I wish we could fast forward to the end of it all because we don't have all of the discovery, you know? So it's hard really to say who wins at this point. But at this point, in terms of a PR war, it does feel like he's winning.
Oh, yeah.
And there are two aspects of it that I find really interesting. Obviously, the power dynamic. I think a lot of people can relate to that in a place of business where you may have to placate someone because there's a difference in power. But the other part of it is, and you totally relate to this, is how traditional PR has changed in an internet era. Like the internet is almost like a destruction machine. And you have old school publicists who used to represent maybe a couple A-listers who could make a call to a traditional media company and say, kill this story or do a softball interview, and then I'll give you access to my other client. And they need content, so they're a little bit more willing to placate. But now everyone in the comments has their own social media channel.
Right.
So Mary816 on TikTok is like, I don't give a shit who you are, publicist. I'm going to say what I want because my opinion is getting attention, and the more controversial opinion that you have in the internet, the more virality you have. So that to me is what's really interesting too, is the power shift in traditional media versus the social media era.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, and just like she got wrapped up in like, you know, this vengefulness to go after her and Ryan to go after Justin because she felt there was a campaign against her, or she was reading the hate pages about herself. And we've all been there. And it gets in your head. And the same thing happened with like Paige and Craig. You know, they were reading their own weird stuff of people saying, and she Paige was probably like, I didn't cheat. And then, it's like, well, why aren't you standing up, Craig, and saying, hey, she didn't cheat? And he's like, who's saying the story? Some random like blind item that then had 300 comments under. I'm like, and I've been there too, where someone's like, you need to stand up and be like, settle down, juicy scoopers. And I'm like, no, I'm not drawing attention to something that's not significant. There's no proof to it. There's nothing, it isn't a trial. It's not, it's just the talk. But when you're in it, it can be consuming. It can be really hard. And it really is important that when someone is in that place, that they really just put away their phone for a couple of weeks.
I think in a lot of cases, the best crisis PR advice you can give to a client is to play the short game, is to just disappear for a while.
Yeah.
But for somebody who is an actor who is feeds off, the attention from their work and their personality, that's near impossible for them.
Stassi did it really well.
She did do it well.
Because she went away for a little bit and then she was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And she's walking around and she's with her husband, or maybe they weren't married yet, but they were together, and she's pregnant, and it showed like, wait a minute. Like, we love this girl. She's given us entertainment. Now she's finally becoming a mom.
Offered her the opportunity to have some introspection and to have a moment and recalibrate and think about where she wanted to move her career. Didn't she write books after that?
Yeah, I mean, she really had a great comeback from what that time of like quick to cancel people was, that 2020 time. But like in this now, because you've put out, this lawsuit that anyone now can talk about, you chose to do it this way, thinking that they would either just crush him or he'd skittle away or whatever. And he didn't. And now I mean,
all
that's
of
why
your
people
personal
really
text
have to think about it.
Emails, personal communication is all fair game.
And I think we've all been there in this business where people are like, you should sue for defamation. You should. And there's times where you're like, yeah, fuck this motherfucker. And then you think about it and you're like, well, okay, wait a minute. What does that really look like? What would that really gain for me?
They're going to spend so much money on these lawsuits.
And where is this going to keep me up at night? Yes. Is this going to be creatively debilitating for me? Yes. Mm. So it's better sometimes to lick your wounds and just shut the fuck up and go away.
Yeah.
But
it'll also be interesting to see the two different worlds, like the implications for them in the public spotlight, but also within the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Like, how many people who have positions of power in the entertainment industry will want to work with either of them?
The other thing I saw someone talk about is how like millennial couples, them being one of them, and they were kind of leaders of it, would like talk about like how they like hate their spouses or hate their kids. Like, he has all these like tweets and funny jokes about.
I think he's just odd that way.
Yeah, of like, not liking his kids, or she said, he'd leave me in a burning building or whatever. I don't know. I mean,
in other words, if they weren't famous and you saw those comments, you'd be like, what a weirdo.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. They just get into this thing where I just don't think she's anywhere to the level that like Scarlett Johansson was, as far as like intellectually.
Also, by doing all this, it almost opens the door for people to start picking away at their marriage dynamics.
Yeah.
And whether or not there are control issues. So that's the decision that unfortunately some people make in the pursuit of a lawsuit, that there's this other aftermath that comes with it.
I don't know. I don't even know if it's possible. Like, she could now just go to him, have them go and be like, what can we do? Because it's like there's too much pain that has been caused.
Yeah.
It's like if right away she was like, okay, I'm taking it back or whatever. But now there's too much that he'd be like, no. Because now he only has something to gain. He already lost the 3 jobs. He already got dumped by William Morris. Mm-hmm. Now he is producing Scarlett Johansson's first directorial debut. Mm-hmm. Now the work is going to start to come. Everybody's like, now he's the underdog. Done to settle. Like, now it's like, go for it. Now everyone is like, no, he's a really nice guy. And this was like absolutely awful. Mm-hmm. So meanwhile, Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick, when does this movie A Simple Favor 2 come out?
I'm not going to watch it, so I don't know.
I guess she didn't die in it. I guess it was like her twin sister that died or something. I don't know.
I don't even know what the movie's about.
Oh, I loved the movie because she played like a bitch in it. It was just perfect. And they have weird moments on the couches doing interviews too.
Yeah.
Well, every interview that Blake Lively does is weird.
My friend,
but they're saying they don't have any beef. They're good, and I'm like, of course. Anna Kendrick's gonna be like, we don't have any beef.
They got to promote the movie.
Yeah, and like don't drag me into your bullshit. You know, what do you think? They said that Jenny Slate, who plays Justin's sister in the movie, and her best friend, it ends with us, that she would be called to be deposed from both sides because originally, right off the bat, she was Team Blake, and now she's probably like, oh my God, keep me out of this.
Without question. She's like, this is a nightmare.
Yeah, I chose the wrong side.
Well, I chose the wrong movie to work on.
Right.
My friend Hillary Shepard has the funniest term. Actresses that basically play themselves in every role are self-actresses. Is that it? I feel like Blake is like that. Like the roles that she really nails are the ones where that's mostly her. That's why she says in those clips, like, I weave myself into it. It's like, you're actually cast for roles that probably you're much like.
And I think all the weird choices for the clothes was her trying not to be herself. So she was like, oh my God, that's great. Like this funky kind of dressing with the two pantses and all that.
Tell them about the pantyhose thing you told me and the pajamas.
Oh, yes. So, so after the first night that they like spend the night together, I don't know if they bone or just whatever, but she comes out wearing pajamas and that's when the sister discovers that they hung out together, whatever. She's wearing pajamas and someone discovered that she has her black fishnets on under the silky pajamas after spending the night with Justin Baldoni's character for the first time. So in the movie, she's wearing fishnets with these $2,700 Yves Saint Laurent fishnet diamond boots.
Stupid.
That she wears to the party. And so that means either they messed around with the fishnets on and then she put on pajamas and slept with fishnets and pajamas on. Like,
or as you said, or you're just a lazy actress.
You're a lazy actress, and also that the wardrobe person at that point had checked out and wasn't looking at like a consistency moment like that. Like, wait. You know, remember this is, you know, there's always this stuff that happens when you like film the other scene, they have to check and make sure like the hair is exactly the same or like your collar was out, not in. And then there was like, we took a class at SC where we would like,
oh, cool,
figure out, oh my God, that's an edit mistake. Look, they went back and now the sheet's off her boob. Now it's on, like all this weird stuff. And you see it in reality shows too.
Yeah.
And that's when you know, or like the nail plot, like they actually went back and redid a whole scene when you see that like the nail polish is a different color or a whole nail is chipped or something. That's when you're like, cool. They redid that. You know, they had them come and show.
That made me laugh when you said that, or you're just like a lazy actress.
Yeah, you're just lazy. You're like, well, I don't feel like taking these off, and I'm just going to keep these on because we just filmed the other scene with the fishnets on. So there's very weird shit like that. This was interesting. This is from the First Degree TikTokers, or maybe they have a show. I don't know, but they brought up
she's so pretty that actress.
This girl Marina Baccarin. She was in the latest Deadpool.
Okay.
And there was a blind item saying that they were not getting along a while back.
Okay.
And she was not part of the press. And she was on the red carpet like by herself.
Let's get her on the horn.
And so something happened there where maybe, you know, he either didn't like her or maybe Blake was jealous of that. And it was a tit for tat. Like, she's not going to be part of it, or who knows? Who knows why this rumor and if it's in fact true. We haven't heard from her. I don't know, but I would like someone to delve more into it. But the First Degree girls figured it out first. But here it is. Yeah. What happened there? What was her experience and why wasn't she a bigger part of like doing press with him?
And that's awful too.
With Ryan.
And by the way, again, I feel like people relate to that in all kinds of businesses that you're in. Like when somebody has more power than you and you feel like you can't say your honest opinion because it's going to create a situation where you're not hired for a new job. Like,
yeah, especially as a woman, you never want to be perceived as
difficult.
Like difficult. Like I remember I was doing a show at the at a comedy store in San Diego. And there was a comedy condo. And I was with my friend who was opening for me. And it was the condo was like the middle part. And then we each had our like own bedrooms. And we said goodnight. And she was going to leave early in the morning. And I went to bed. And then I heard the front door open and shut. And I was like, well, I know she hasn't left yet because it's like 1:30. And I was like, that's weird. And I just remember like God like said to me, just stay quiet. Just stay quiet.
What?
And so I did. And I just told myself, she must have just been checking her suitcase or something in the hallway. And I just told myself that. I didn't call out to her or anything. So the next morning I wake up and she's gone and flying back to Denver. And I start driving and I go, oh, did you make it there? Yes. And she goes, the weirdest thing happened last night. She goes, I feel like someone came in our condo. And I go, that wasn't you opening the front door? And she's like, no.
Oh my God.
And so we talked about it. And I'm like, we thought somebody at the club, maybe they didn't change the combo because they're supposed to do it every week, like an Airbnb or whatever. And maybe they thought we weren't staying there and they could stay there for the night, or maybe something more sinister was on this person's mind. I don't know. And then, of course, my mind went to a whole different way of like, oh, my God, what if I had come out? I'm like, and you heard me being killed. Would you have jumped out the window like of yours? Like what? Like I thought of like all the crazy shit because I would have been like, what the hell are you doing? And then the guy freaks out thinking I'm going to like get him fired at the comedy club or whatever. So I think about it. And I at the time, this is only like a few years ago, I was so conscious of like not being difficult as a female comic, whatever. So I finally I look and I see that another girl is headlining in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, I got to say something. I see that maybe it was Taylor Tomlinson that was coming. And so I told my agent and he was like, Heather, my God, no, you have to tell me this, And, but it was like, I just was like, again, I'd had things like happen, like where I knew that sometimes I didn't get asked back because someone was like, oh, she
was annoying.
She asked for
too
this,
much.
that, like, it was just like.
Meanwhile, you're like, can I have a water?
Yeah, like there was this one thing that we did in Vegas that a lot of female comics did. And part of the package was like you could have go to the nightclub and do all this stuff. And so I took advantage of all that. But that meant people coming, following us, seating us there and all that stuff. And then I found out that other female comics were doing the gig by themselves and going up to their room and going to sleep.
Just terrifying.
And I was like, that person is a much easier person to deal with, though. You know what I'm saying? Like the girl that came alone that was like, no, I don't need security to take me to the club. And I don't need all of this. And I don't need you to call into the club and say, save me my table. And so then I was like, oh my God, I wonder if like those people talk and somehow, and you never know, like you never know. So it gets in your head. And so now you're this actress and you get a feel that maybe like Ryan doesn't like you or whatever. Well, and you just are like, I'll just do whatever I'm supposed to do.
God forbid she's in the same agency and she complains. Like, does she lose representation because she says something?
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of ripple effects.
I know. And it's no way to prove it because it's like, if you do speak up and complain or something, they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad that you shared this. You absolutely could. But then they're also like, and if your agent is a man too, it's like when you would tell your, male high school teacher, can I go to the bathroom? I have my period. And they're like, ah! Like sometimes guys just don't want to hear anything that's like, anything least bit uncomfortable. And then also we're into a legal thing. If there's any kind of, harassment, sexual harassment, abuse of powers, anything like that.
Also, the sad realization I think that we're all kind of realizing is that it really is about how high someone is in the food chain.
Oh my God, I just remembered another awful story. When I was working on Keenan Ivory Wayne's, my first writing job, it was hard. It was my first writing job. And I wasn't really getting the vibe of like what I was supposed to be doing or whatever. And the agents were these young agents and they were like so excited to be like, we got this 27-year-old writer, like a real Writers Guild job. So I guess they were like trying to like prove that they had some power. So anyway, I think I was like having a hard time getting along. I felt like I just like, entered a new school or something and I just was like a dork. And so they showed up to like talk to the producer ahead of the writers to kind of be like, Heather's not comfortable or whatever. And I remember one of the male writers who became my friend and we worked on other projects since came in and was like screaming at me and was like, you're fucking with our fucking livelihood and stuff. Like, and I'm like, I didn't even mean to complain. They were just asking me how it was going and I was stupid enough to be honest. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I feel a little awkward or, they got mad at me for this one thing. They thought I whatever. And I was just like a bag of nerves. I was like, and then I was like, now these people hate me because I spoke up and I look like this little like annoying person and who's not even really contributing that much to begin with because I'm like, don't understand how this works.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Or if you are working at a company and you want a promotion or you want more, to be paid better, any sort of thing like that, you can get a reputation as being too needy or difficult.
Sometimes it's hard, but sometimes you have to decide when you're going to shut the fuck up, or sometimes you have to let them. I just wanted to talk about Mel Robbins for a minute because she is everywhere, and a lot of people are like, "Who is this Mel Robbins woman?" So she has a very successful book and podcast, and now tour, and every motivational speaker. And this whole "let them" thing is like, hey, if you find out all your friends had a beautiful luncheon without you, let them have that great luncheon. And now I know people are going to probably correct me. This is what I've gathered from it. I have not read the book, but like the minute you stop trying to control those around you's behavior, then you can gain control of like whatever.
Makes sense.
But the let them. And so I see that she's, going on tour and I'm like, oh my God, what if like a bunch of women are like calling each other and they're like, hey, let's go see, her on tour. And then no one gets back to the person. And then they go to the show and they see a bunch of their friends all planned and went. And they're like, oh, I guess I got to let you guys just exclude me. Like, if everybody planned a trip and didn't include you, let them, even though it's coming to see me. Like, I was like, okay with that. But I looked up some things about her. So she was a lawyer.
Yes.
And then she had a syndicated radio show that didn't go. But now this podcast is huge, which I love. So that was canceled and then she did her own thing. And, sometimes you're on this path and you do it for many years and then it pops. And it seems like her philosophy and everything has popped and people really like that she's talking about mental health the way she's doing it. And, she's like my age. So I think it's all great. But anyway, in me researching, she has said she has an open marriage.
Oh, really?
So that's the ultimate let them. If they want to fuck someone else, let them. You can't control. If I want to fuck someone else, let me.
Huh.
So I was like, yeah, of course you should. If your whole philosophy is like, let them, of course you should. I shouldn't be shocked that you have an open marriage because you got to let everybody be and do what they want.
Maybe. Her kids are all, I think, older now, too. They're in college.
I don't know if this is the first or the second husband or what.
I think it's the first, but they're probably at an age, and I think they do work with her sometimes.
I don't know.
Where, like, your kids, you could have conversations like that.
And again, I did not read the book. I don't listen to the thing. Everyone relax. I think she's very successful. I know she's bringing a lot of joy to a lot of people. But those were just some of the things what I keep seeing in my feed, a million let them. I was like, okay, well, now this sort of makes sense. And then also there was a woman that also wrote a poem called Let Them.
Oh, really?
Now, there might also be a moment where she gave that woman credit, but she was getting some criticism for that.
I think people like her because, and I followed her before she had a podcast, and she's just pretty natural looking.
Yeah.
And she just puts things into like short clips that seem complex, but she just simplifies it. So I think that's why she's really taken off.
Yeah, and she covers
a whole self-help book.
Right.
Like you could just watch a couple clips.
Like she covers everything. I just saw one that she was like, hey, to the 20-somethings, your friends are going to scatter. Like you were all really close in college and now you're not. And
it is what it is.
And again, she goes,
that's
they
it.
might have a party and not invite you. I'm like, my God.
You're like, no.
Why do you keep shoving into my face and no one wants to invite me to anything? Like just when I thought I felt good about something, I'm like, Oh, there were a lot of Super Bowl parties I didn't get invited to.
Did you still get upset about stuff like that?
Not like I did like a year ago.
I mean, like 10 years ago, I think you would have taken things a lot more personal.
Oh no, it's only recent. And it was before I let them. No, it's only been really recent that I finally am like, really recent that I'm not overly bothered.
Yeah.
Now I kind of get a kick out of it, and I don't care.
That's good.
And like I had several people that I'm talking to on the phone who was like, okay, well, I'm having people over for Super Bowl. But, I'm so happy, whatever we were talking about, I shared some news. And I was like, all right, cool. And they didn't say, by the way, it's really small or I'm not going to invite you. They just said it. And I was like, let them. I didn't care because I already was invited to one.
There you go.
And I only needed to be invited to one. I needed invited to 17 and figure it out.
In the old days, you would have had to map out how you can get to each one and stop in. So that's good.
Right, maybe.
Yeah, that's good.
And also, with age, you don't care. But that philosophy does help. But at the same time, just like the classic, he's not that into you.
Yeah.
I think you also have to be honest. If these friends aren't reaching out and they're not including you, it could also be that they're not that into you. Or they don't feel the same as they did 5 years ago, or you're not part of the inner group, or you haven't reached out enough. You haven't reached out enough, and therefore you're not part of this text exchange,
Or do you sometimes as you get older, you have less in common.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have a lot of shit going on as you get older. Job, taking care of elderly parents, kids in school.
I think the only way to get over friends not including you is if you're screwing someone that you like, or you're, have a good marriage and you're happy with your marriage, okay? Or you have gotten to a level of success that you didn't have back when they were inviting you. And that's the only way it's not going to hurt.
I've never been the kind of person that gets upset if I'm not invited. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's hard because you wouldn't have known it. There was it was very easy to keep it a secret. It used to be. It used to be.
You wouldn't know.
It used to be you passed out the invitations in the classroom and not everybody got one. I mean, that was my first of not being invited.
Yeah.
Was my friend Carrie's birthday. And we both brought out invitations the same day. And I invited her to mine and she did not invite me to hers.
Yeah.
And we both invited like the same other 8 girls. And then I remember the mom called my mom and I heard my mom going, yeah, I see we have an issue and sure, we'll move ours the following week. And then she came and was like, I forgot this at home.
Oh.
And so I'm like, I guess that's why I'm triggered by the not invite, because it's like, I remember it and I remember feeling bad for her. Like I knew she had like a good heart, but she just didn't want me at her party. I wasn't her top 8. Like she just, I wasn't top of mind or whatever, even as an 8-year-old. Then they made it that if you give out invitations at the class, you've got to invite everybody.
That's not what they do.
And if you don't, then you've got to call them and you've got to be quiet about it. And now I would say, and also don't post if you don't want to hurt feelings.
You know what they also do in schools now in elementary? The teachers will say things like, we don't have best friends. Like, remember a kid would be like, you are my best friend.
Yeah.
They kind of dissuade that.
I think it's good.
It's good.
And I think it's really weird when adults talk.
Oh, I do too. I hate
a lot of adult women will say my best friend. And I'm like, that is weird. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But they also we don't do sleepovers either. That's like gone.
Yes. There's a million TikToks on don't ever have a sleepover.
They just don't. It's like a common thing. All parents were just like collectively like, yeah, we get it.
Yeah. It's too risky. It's too
also
risky.
Annoying.
It's annoying, but it's also too risky that somebody might be at the house, but also you hosting it. Your kids might sneak out. Somebody might accuse you of something. It's like the same thing of like, any kind of, you don't want to be alone with a kid that's not yours in any activity. Like I remember when my son was in like the Cub Scouts, that was all taught. Like even if you're on a trail and all of a sudden you're walking on the trail with just a kid that's not yours, you're supposed to like stop and call another person, like a doctor, like a gynecologist has to have a nurse there. Like you do not, for any reason to protect yourself, want to be alone with a kid that's not yours.
I thank the documentary filmmakers of the world over the last 10 years who have like enlightened us on a number of things, but that is absolutely one of them.
Totally. Okay, Real Housewife of Beverly Hills. We'll let them. Sutton decided to only invite to meet her delightful mother.
Right.
Sutton invited Erica and...
No. She invited Kyle.
Oh, wait, Kyle, right.
And Garcelle.
Kyle and Garcelle, yeah.
That was it.
Yes. And, look, we all know these things are, let's split up the group and then you guys. And this episode was really good for a couple reasons.
Oh, my God, I loved it.
We got to see her mom, who is an odd bird, that, one of the things I thought was really interesting is we know that Sutton is divorced from a very successful man and she gets $330,000 a month or something. But I guess financially they were taking care of Sutton's mom. And once they got divorced right away, she's like, well, who's going to take care of me? Which is the sign of a narcissistic mother, correct?
Yes. There are two things going on here. You can't expect someone without introspection to suddenly gain some when they're older.
80.
It just is not going to happen.
Right.
But also the way that Sutton kept saying, people say I'm like my mother, but I'm just not. And I feel like that happens so much with mothers and daughters where you believe you are the watered down version, or you are the watered down version of your mother, but all of the things that you did, can't stand about your parent, you sort of disconnect yourself from. But the minute you go back to being around your parent, you go back to the same roles that you had in your house, and you can see yourself as a mirror, right?
But
so in the scene, she's like, I'm nothing like my mom, but I'm like, you are absolutely like your mother. Just like the Heather Dubrow scenes with her mom, when she was so defensive about anything having to do with her mother. But I'm like, I can see the similarities. And by the way, that's not dissimilar to everybody and their relationship with their mother.
Right.
I love a housewife that takes us back to meet the mother because origin stories tell us so much.
And also, I mean, she is like the mom, She when Dorit was spilling her soul out saying that Jagger said, "Are you guys divorced?" And she's saying, and then I said to Jagger, "No, mommy and daddy still love each other very much, and it will always be a You know what? I just have to tell you that it's a long ride to Oxnard."
Right.
And I'm not doing her voice very good, but Sutton, Naimum. So we need to get going. And it was like,
how about the scene with Teddy? The first season. Do that one.
Yeah.
When she was like,
Naima.
You're boring. No.
Wait.
Well, frankly, Teddy, oh God, you're going to be boring.
Yeah. So I think
that is just like her mother. Right. Just unfiltered.
No filter. And you wonder, all of it together, what is it, But it's also really sad to see, because it's so opposite of what I have, of a mom that just thought I was the greatest. So
it makes you sad.
Yeah, it makes me sad to see that for whatever reason, if it was Southern, if it was her personality, if it was because she married this really rich guy and she thought she was stupid to not have made it work. Maybe the mom was like, I don't care how mean he was to you. You should have, in her mind, maybe the mom was like to Sutton, you failed because you let this fabulous guy get away.
She's also generational.
Yes. So
she's
why?
Regional.
Yeah.
The man has all the power. The respect goes to the man.
Yeah.
She's like, I built, this store. I've raised 3 successful children. I still don't get the respect from you. But she really seems to respect the ex-husband more.
Yes.
Which is twisted.
And then we had a great scene happening at a dinner at Kathy Hilton's house.
Oh, yeah.
With Dorit talking about PK and how... And I think we've all been there too with a girlfriend that's a little bit in denial.
Yeah.
And Erica Jane, who has just been so great to watch, just being like that girl that's been through some shit. That
she's like, girl, buckle up.
Yeah, that's really, but it's really like a girl's girl too, giving good advice, not at all making it about herself.
Erica was not always a girl's girl.
No,
I feel like she's leaned into it way more.
I think when
she must not have ever been around women. I'm not kidding you.
I know. I think she was playing a role for 20 years. That wasn't really her.
Maybe.
And she was, again, I'm probably like Sutton's mom. If she had Erica, she was probably like, yeah, I'm in this incredible thing. Yeah, he's kind of a dick to me. Yes, I don't want to screw him anymore. Yes, he cheats on me, but I don't care because I don't want to screw him anymore. But I get to do all these cool things. And now he lets me go be, this diva with all my gay besties. So
I think her mom was a little
so I'm just
too.
going to keep my mouth shut. Now she's the real girl that she is.
Mm-hmm.
Been on the show for 7 years, has her own thing going.
Maybe she feels safer.
Yeah, I think it's just a complete, like her life was really turned upside down, and now she sees it and she's like, oh, he's trying to, divorce you before the 10 years so that he doesn't have to pay, alimony for the rest of his life.
Isn't it weird that didn't even occur to her, Dorit?
It probably
like
did.
Eric is the first person to bring that to her attention?
I think it could have been that it did, and then the producers were like, bring that up at the dinner.
Now, Carlos King thinks that this is all not real, like this.
What? Tell me this?
Dorit and PK, he thinks that they're pretending.
No way. Because if they were pretending, it would not be this shocking.
Is it shocking though?
So, okay, let's explore this. So, what has she said that can't be taken back?
She said that he was a terrible father. That would be a hard thing to take back.
Okay, so that's why I don't think it's true. Because if you were in cahoots, then you would have she would be saying, no, he is a great dad and he always calls, but now he's not into hanging out together, the four of us. And in the beginning of the separation, he was. Like, okay, so that's what we would be hearing, I think, if they were really in cahoots and there's a plan for them to get back together. They're never going to get back together. They're going to get divorced. That's my prediction. And this is real. Because you're right. She would not have said...
I don't know.
Actually, you know what? He's not a great dad.
I don't know how you walk that back.
And I know, because I know
That's
people. I know
unforgivable.
people that in the beginning, then they do. They say no, it's going to be good and everything, and then they're like, no, like he fucking missed his flight to see his daughter this weekend. He's not into it. He's over it. He's not a good fucking dad, and they will say it now. But in the beginning, it was like, oh no, let's, and they still might be good to their kid as far as. But then even then, eventually they'll be like, yeah, don't. Yeah, your dad's new wife was his secretary. You were 4. Figure it out. Like it eventually comes all out.
Yeah.
It just takes some time. And so, no, I think, and I think she's pissed because she's like, oh my God, I covered up with my parents. I covered up with the kids. I covered up with your alcoholism. I covered up with that DUI. I covered up with the fact that we weren't having sex. I acted like we were super in love. I did it all. Because that was what we decided to present on the show.
Yeah.
And now you want to go. The
show complicates it because I feel badly when they go through a divorce because the one person is the platform of the TV show.
Right. And then you're looking for a storyline, and the storyline always like fell on his birthday or her birthday or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're like, great, we'll plan a big ass party. The finals, oh, good. The producers, oh, good. So now the party has to be a beautiful toast that we all see. But if it wasn't filmed, they may have not even celebrated the birthday, and probably she wouldn't have been compelled to like do that. We don't know.
But the one thing too, though.
Oh, that was really funny.
I'm like, is the Easter egg with Kyle when she's like, Dorit, I just don't even know who you are. I'm like, is that because she's like, all of a sudden you're not happy in your marriage? Where did that come from?
I think she's just going along with the fact that like, look, everyone's going to change in 10 years. Between 36 and 46, but also
she
now been on
from
TV
last year.
Oh, just from last year.
She was like,
of course everyone's different.
Yeah, like we have a great marriage, and at the reunion, like things have never been better.
Because I think she was still hopeful, and now that she's not, it's like the gloves are off, and she's like, "Fuck it, I'm done like lying and everything."
Or are they like?
And she said she didn't.
You're not going to be on the show if you continue to be like a mouse.
Well, she said in her interview with Alex Baskin, she did not want to come back on the show because it was all of this. What she was going through with him was hurtful, and he, PK, was like, "You have to because it's your job." And you need to make money.
You need to make money. But we've seen that happen with a lot of husbands who are like, get a job because we're getting a divorce and you need to make some money.
I think then he was also just like, but then on top of it, if we're going to rip off all the Band-Aids and like, now we're talking shit about each other, which we never did before. So now it's like 10 years of like stuff that we held back that maybe another reality show couple would have shared. And then if they did break up, we wouldn't be totally, as surprised. But because it was such an... yes, hello, Jagger and Phoenix, as she's getting her glam done.
Do you know any mom that talks like that?
Yes, my love. And
yes, dear. I am around a lot of moms, And none of them talk like that. They're like, get your soccer crap, like.
But she's not doing all that stuff. So it's like.
It's just so odd to me.
But I mean, the kids seem to be, really great and everything. And I think it's like, and I just think she was like fine, like not having a romantic marriage. Mm-hmm. And so now she's also like pissed that, and so now she's like, oh, fuck you. Like, you were gone for 73 days.
Imagine, like, being on a reality show, how could you maintain a romantic relationship with your spouse? I feel like it drains them. It sucks them all dry.
I forgot there were certain housewives. I want to think it was maybe Countess and also Lisa Vanderpump. Maybe not. I don't know. But there were a couple that I've interviewed that said that right from the start, they're like, you can never film in my bedroom.
Well, that's good.
But I know, that's not Dorit. They're always getting glam in the bedroom. They're always like a lot of, not that it's sacred, but I'm just saying there's certain things like that.
I'm talking more about a marriage, the romance. Like, how do you keep that flame lit when you're on a reality show?
What about when Kathy Hilton goes?
Although I do think they're in love.
Who's in love?
I do think Kathy and Rick Hilton are in love.
Yeah.
I think there's real romance there.
I think there's a real friendship there, too. There's a real companionship that they're so, I don't want to say codependent because I always feel it's a negative. But,
so like a team.
But really a team, like really together. Like we're each other's dates. We're each other's best friend, like whatever. I don't want to like necessarily, like we're happy to hang and we're happy just to go to dinner with the two of us. We don't have to invite another couple. We still have plenty to talk about. We still have a good time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the truth, whether it's because they did get married so young and they don't really know any different or whatever. But when she's like, first of all, I thought PK was 56 when I met him. That was so funny because when I said that they were 20 years apart on my show, I said Dorit and PK are 20 years apart. This was like a year ago and maybe there was some talk of them separating. He DM'd me and he's like, we are 8.5 years apart. And I go, oh. And at the time he goes, I'm 56 and she's 47 or something. Mm-hmm. And I go, or 48. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, she just looks a lot younger. I was shocked. I'm like, but I think I don't think he looks necessarily older than 56. I think exactly what Kathy said. I think he looked 56 10 years ago. And he looks that now.
Well, also maybe the dynamic of the marriage has always seemed like he's more
a big age difference, and also having
paternal
kids,
or something. And he has older kids, yeah.
But if the way the contract is, he's not getting paid, right?
Yeah.
Unless he wants to work out his own deal. Salt Lake City ended. Any thoughts?
I don't know.
I guess they're all coming back.
I'd hate to be Bronwyn going home to Todd after the reunion. I feel like they have a lot to work out.
Well, Todd and I, you know what? We will work it out. What a lot of people don't realize is we're not just about costumes and coffee cups. We're not. He is the funniest person that I've ever met. He absolutely adores me and gives me jewels, and he loves Gwendolyn. And he wanted me to do this show. And what you guys don't understand is that we have sex anytime he wants it.
Oh, my God. So she'll definitely come back with a different house because I feel like too many people were like, there are a lot of dogs defecating on the floor and the furniture's weird.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's weird and the furniture's weird and whatever. But, she's definitely got to come back.
Yeah.
And but it must be really weird when you are like a Lisa Barlow and you like get this little twat on the show.
Oh, I'm sure there are lots of fights about it.
And that's why she's like, I am done inviting my friends to be on this show. I've literally cast every single person and you guys have fucked me over so badly. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, she's right. They have.
Right?
They have. Like they're, and I get it because she's like, I had to talk to her on the phone all the time and Angie had to talk to her all the time. Yeah, because she brought them on the show and she's a phone talker. And then, but then they get to feel their own oats and they're like, I am not going to kiss your feet for the rest of my life for getting me on this show. I'm the fan favorite. People love me. I've had great one-liners. But then in her defense, she's like, oh my God, why did I ever suggest that they pick you?
Because I think a lot of them just figure this person's not going to become a star. Like they're just going to be a friend of, they're going to fall flat. Because most of them have personalities where they believe that they're a celebrity from the time they're born.
Yeah.
So they assume no one else has the charisma that they do. So I think they're actually like shocked when the audience really kind of loves any of the people that they recommend.
Yeah. But they are That's a good show. They're fun.
And by the way, I don't know if they're necessarily recommending, as in the casting directors are scrolling through their Instagram feed to see somebody in the background. And then they like look through who they follow and they're contacting people. Like they probably go through and see who each person follows and then kind of poke around. Oh, this person lives in Salt Lake City. Hey, would you be interested in talking to me?
Imagine if you have a good friend, like you're on the Housewives, you know?
Yeah.
And like I'm on the Housewives and you're my friend and I just kind of like you being my friend. Okay?
Yeah, like
I don't want you to be on it.
Just be on the side.
Yeah, but you have a badass house and, you know, like whatever, you're pretty crazy and, you know, it's like, and you go out to dinner and you're like, okay, well, let's take a photo, you know, and then you're like tagging me and you're like, why don't you share it? Why don't you share it on your stories?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot. I forgot to share you're like just trying to keep any friend secret. Like,
or conversely, what about I'm your friend and you're on the show, and then next thing you know, I'm saying, oh, I'm going to film something on the show, like, and then I show up to the party with like fur on, huge diamond earrings, and I'm an exaggerated version of the person that you know.
Pull Melissa Gorga on
and
Teresa.
You're like, what the fuck, Kate? What are you doing?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I could see that happening. By the way,
and then
I'm not going to be a housewife,
I open my
don't
phone
worry.
And I see that you're with all my castmates and you didn't invite me. And then I have to go, let them.
Let them. Let them.
You wouldn't know any of these people. You wouldn't be on this show if it wasn't for me. But let them. Go have fun. Oh, you decided to take everyone on a private jet to go to your...
Wearing matching trucker hats that say mermaids. Go.
Yeah.
Have
and
fun.
I'm like, Kate, I can't believe you guys are filming Real Housewives this weekend without me. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm just not going to be part of this trip for the next 3 days. And then you have to just be like, well, you upset me when you didn't acknowledge my dog the other day.
Right.
You barely looked muffin in the eyes.
That's why I think Heather got so mad when she was invited to Palm Springs. Yeah. She's like, girl, where, like, huh? I've been here from the beginning.
I'm here from the beginning. I'm a good fucking time.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't even do anything. I still never got, I feel like that could have been a move by who knows why they wanted to exclude her. It made no sense. I still don't even know.
I don't get
why
it.
half the fights were the fights or whatever. Do you think New York is coming back?
Yeah, it'll just be different. I don't know. They'll switch up
New York,
people.
all those people. Yeah, the crying.
Rebecca Minkoff, swing and a miss.
And she's just like, whatever, I'm leaving.
Brynn should not be on the show anymore. She needs, by the way, she should have been on a different show. I think didn't make sense from the beginning.
I don't know. That'll be I'm curious to see where she kind of ends up. Does she just like stay at this level and get a few deals here and there? Because she does dress really well.
She'll be on she'll be on like Villains and Traitors and all the.
I mean, yeah, she should be used for something else if she doesn't
There's
come back.
There's a whole new category in reality TV where now they have these shows which bring in other people from other reality shows.
She'll be on like a Traitors or something. Yeah. Jessica Alba and her husband are getting divorced.
Okay.
And they just both have their own businesses and so much money.
Great.
And
she's going to have so much fun dating.
Yeah. Then they have 3 kids.
Good for her.
With H names.
I know.
Honor, Hayes, and like Haven.
I have a Hayes, but a girl.
That's cute. I like that name. People are worried about Justin Bieber.
I worry about him all the time.
He looks awful. Other people are like, he's a new dad. I'm like, oh, shut up.
Yeah.
He's not the Octomom, okay? Like maybe if he had 8 kids and no help, maybe he would have some sunken eyes.
Maybe what they're saying is like it gives him something to be joyful about.
No, they're saying that's why he looks like shit.
Because he's a child?
Yes, because he's a new dad.
No,
he's up all night breastfeeding.
No. Give me a break. Stop it. No. What? No.
I mean,
please.
This does look like he's not well.
No.
Worried about him. All right. Well, Kate, this was really fun.
Always.
Tell everybody what you got going on.
Reality Life with Kate Casey podcast 6 days a week. You can sign up for my What to Watch list. I tell everybody what to watch in unscripted TV. So reality shows, documentaries, and it comes out every Monday. Go to katecasey.substack.com. I have a Facebook group, Reality Life with Kate Casey, and bonus episodes.
What's some hot things to watch coming up?
Oh, wow. I am so excited for you to watch this season of Love is Blind. Oh my God, I'm shaking. I can't even tell you.
When does it come out?
Friday, Valentine's Day.
And so
it's in Minneapolis.
Did you get the screeners?
I watched the first episodes I was kind of falling asleep. I shut up. I haven't stopped thinking about the last episode of the first tranche of episodes.
Okay.
I cannot wait for you to watch it.
All right.
We have to talk about it.
Okay.
That's the one to watch this week. Love is Blind.
On Friday.
Yeah. Because at first
Netflix.
you're like, oh my God, they're all really sweet and earnest. And maybe it's just because they're from Minneapolis. And then you start to go, that one's the sociopath. That one's the sociopath. It's really good.
Oh, good.
And by the way, a great thing to watch on Valentine's Day with somebody.
Yeah.
Like, don't go out, just stay in.
Well, and also, Love is Blind it makes you feel so much better about being married because all they want to do, all they keep saying is, I just want my person so that I can just have somebody to watch Love is Blind with.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I'm like, here I am with my person watching Love is Blind. Like, I need to be more excited about being married. Look at these people are.
Well, also, you watch it with your sons too. Yeah, added bonus.
Watch it with anyone or watch it by yourself.
Actually, my kids really got into this season too because I would be watching and they would walk through and they'd ask me about it. So yeah, it's the one to watch.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.